Good morning, everyone. Well, I was going to film this video outside, but we've still got a lot of wind. We're approaching the spring equinox here and on the opposite side, but with equinoxes, the winds do change and they can become more frequent. And stronger, obviously. So we're inside and I wanted to share today why I chose to do a high-fat carnivore diet with the diagnosis of cancer. Now, I'm a small build, I'm a twin, and I have always been a small build. But over the last couple of years, I found it difficult to keep weight on for periods of time. So, and that became, I guess, more obvious in the last 12 months. I'd increase what I was eating, and they included lots of animal fat. And I just wasn't putting weight. The needle wasn't budging on the scale. And I thought, what is going on? Maybe these scales are a bit skewed. I was using someone else's scales. And of course, as time went on and, I was having investigations done as to what was going on with all these bladder frequency UTIs, and no one could give me answers as to why that was going on. Obviously, it ended up being a cancer diagnosis, but several months before that, same thing, could not put on weight, and I'd deliberately be eating more. So I chose to have a high-fat carnivore so I could keep weight on. Now, obviously with cancer diagnosis, I did not want to lose any more weight. And I knew that a high-fat carnivore was going to be my ticket to not only put, good muscle back on my body, it was going to, fire up my hormones again that were depleted. I was starting to lose my libido. There were different things going on. I didn't have these things go on in menopause. But with a cancer diagnosis, of course, the body's other functions are all being affected. And so as your body's trying to obviously, keep these cancer cells from multiplying and, putting all its energy into that. So the great thing with a high-fat carnivore diet, not only did I feel, as I said, more feminine, because my hormones were starting to just naturally go back into balance, particularly estrogen, and it was noticeable in my breasts becoming firmer and higher, and just, that nice shapeliness. I wasn't putting on belly fat, so it wasn't from high cortisol, and I didn't have the jiggly bits. It was firm muscle. Obviously, I was playing pickleball, my sport of choice this year. That's been a godsend. As I said, it's allowed me to get more oxygenated and also increase my fitness. Now, I must say, when I first started playing pickleball, I was huffing and puffing. I was lucky to get through an hour without, struggling to get my breath. I was really red in the face. I was like, oh. And it took me a long time to recover back to a feeling, okay, I'm back in balance again, without. So as I got well and more well, my fitness increased. It was fabulous. So that was really great. But the amazing thing is, once I, like I said, I really just ate as much fat as I possibly could. That was my quest, right? Because I also knew that high fat is going to, starve these cancer cells of their fuel, but also inhibit the pathways where they're getting signals to multiply. And that was the best way for me to do that. I certainly was not going to feed these cells any glucose, which is their form of fuel for rapid growth. So that went. And as I said, my hormones also got a great lift and came more into balance. That includes the thyroid hormones as well. So if anyone's going through menopause, high-fat carnivore is brilliant for that. Now, obviously, as I said, with the cancer diagnosis, I was just getting in as much fat as possible. And that happened over the first 6 weeks, in parallel with me having this immunotherapy. So I was just eating away, and every week I'd go back and I'd put on weight, and I'd kept that weight. Whereas a lot of people who were at the hospital and, the cancer sort of treatment areas were losing. So that was my great insurance. And the body's intelligence, once I reached the right weight for me, it kind of stabilized. Even if I ate less the next day, it just stabilized. And that's what's happened. That's where I am right now. My weight has stabilized. My body, as I said, has got me to a place where it's right for me, and everything is back into homeostasis again. So that's the main reason. and the interesting thing also with your body's intelligence, once you reach this level of balance back in your body, automatically my desire for fat has just dropped back a little. And so I just go along with it. It's all intuitive. I don't count macros. I don't do any of these things. I listen to my body. If I've had enough, I've had enough. And what I've found is I'm now eating later in the day, usually between 4 or 5 now even. So that would give me almost, say, 20 hours of fasting through. And then I'll have one big meal with, butter with my steak. I'll actually show some photos of the food that I've been eating, so you can see. So that's where I'm at now, and I'm really, really happy. Not only is my skin improved, the fat, people have noticed that, of course, too. But yeah, the texture, there's more moisture in my skin. No, it's wonderful. So there we go. I thought I'd share that with you today, why I chose to do a high-fat carnivore diet. Okay, so just again, another bit of positivity in the mornings when you wake, and what you say to yourself. So this is something else I've been doing absolutely non-stop, and that is, I tell myself I'm well. I start my inner conversation with I am whole and healed. I am in perfect health. Everything in my body is operating at peak performance. I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm no longer have any cancer in my body. I'm cancer free. And this would be my mantras every day. And it's, you might start to do it at first just to, this sounds a bit weird. But the more you do it, you'll notice that you'll get kind of a nice, peaceful, it's almost like a dopamine rush through your body, because it's true. And the more you say, I am whole, complete, and healed, this is what will happen. All right. Wishing you all a fabulous day. Lots of love, and we'll speak soon.